Mic check, 1 2 1 2. Just want to make sure all the audio is going right, so that we will start off what I believe is going to be the 6th episode of the conference call. Now, obviously, I did a conference call the other day. Uh, Wait, was that? Okay, yes, I did that. And then a couple of days before that, I did a live stream talking about Khabib and his crypto scam. So, okay, here we are. So, yes, this is going to be episode number 6. We are at episode number 6 right now. So, just please bear with me for a second as I get uh, some of the important things that I need to do. So, bear with me for a second as I get some of the. Okay, so, all right. Yeah, we're just going to get started in just a little bit. I'll let you know when the start time is going to be, probably in about a couple of minutes or so. So just bear with me, okay? All right, guys, shout outs to everybody that is in here right now. Let me just make sure that the mic is working once again. We will start at the 9-minute mark. And the first thing that we're going to start out with is, well, a little bit of some news coverage that is happening in the local area of Stockton, California, and Sacramento as well. So we're going to get into that in less than 20 seconds right now. And then once we get after that news, we will start our live stream straight away. So here we are.
A celebration turned into chaos, and now sheriff's detectives are racing to find the gunman who unleashed deadly gunfire inside a Stockton banquet hall.
This tragedy has left the community there reeling. Eyewitness News reporter Madison Wild joining us live from the newsroom with the latest. Madison.
Yeah, Tim, Irene, this is just a horrific story. We're told 4 people were killed and 10 others wounded in what investigators say may have been a targeted shooting at a child's birthday party. This happened just before 6 p.m. yesterday at that birthday event at a banquet hall in Stockton. Deputies say this all started with an argument that escalated. Several people were immediately rushed to the hospital as police and investigators arrived on scene. Eyewitnesses say they heard several rounds of gunfire.
There was 3 sets of gunfire. The first set, there was a lot of rounds. I'm not sure exactly how many, and then they sounded kind of fireworky, and so I wasn't really too concerned about it. But then the next 2 sets came. Gunfire came probably maybe a minute later, and then all of a sudden there was all these police were here.
At this hour, the names and ages of the victims have not been released by officials, although we know the victims included both kids and adults. The mayor of Stockton says she's been in communication with Governor Newsom, who has offered support at the state level to assist law enforcement agencies in any way they might need.
This is Thanksgiving weekend. This is when families come together, celebrate, share memories, give each other love. And unfortunately tonight, heaven is a little bigger with the individuals, children and adults that unfortunately do not make it. Stockton is better than this.
Local detectives are still working to identify a possible motive. They say the shooter has not been caught, pleading with the public for help. Deputies are asking anyone with information or video footage to come forward. Live in the newsroom, Madison Weil, ABC7.
All right, so there it is, guys. We got ourselves a little bit of some news coverage that I'm sort of covering in Stockton right now. Yeah, man, listen, I don't really care much for your opinion, whoever that was making that comment. Once again, look, you never really should care about the opinions of people who are, you know, quite frankly, you know, really insignificant, right? And I'm sorry if I had to say that to make you feel that way. That's really, you know, all there is to that, right? A guy coming in here talking about, oh, you know, this, that, and the other, you know, he said in exact words, garbage train. Like, do I really care about what you think, about what you deem as garbage and what isn't? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think you understand. You're not really that significant. But anyways, man, aside from that, we got other news topics that we got to talk about as well. Obviously, what about Tom Aspinall? Tom Aspinall potentially getting stripped of his title right now because the medical examination that came back deems Tom Aspinall as rather healthy. You know what I mean? Like, there isn't anything wrong with Tom Aspinall's eye, or so we thought. And then the examination came through. By the way, the examination that came through probably came from, let's say, the English doctors, right? Or the British, UK doctors, right? And so what's significant about that is, well, maybe there's a little bit of some biasness towards it, or maybe not, because you got to remember, right? The Brazilian, well, I was going to say, yeah, the Brazilian, but I was going to say the British, medical institution, in this case, the NHS, I don't think they're really interested in protecting Tom Aspinall. And the reason why I sort of slipped there for a second and mentioned Brazilian is because guess what? The Brazilians are very much interested in protecting their own. Okay, and in one particular case, obviously, Jose Aldo, right? What did the local police do once Jose Aldo was asked by USADA to take a drug test? They flat out said, listen, you got to get out of here. Okay, we got to get rid of you. So they got rid of the drug testers, deported them, right? And that kind of shows you, hey, listen, sometimes there's a little bit of some inherent biasness towards doctors. But let's be honest, most of those biases from, those types of doctors usually come from third world countries, right? Or at least in this case, Brazil, a third world country where MMA is really the most, prevalent, sport in the most prevalent sport in that country. Now, would I say that Brazil's number one sport is MMA? No. Obviously, the number one sport in Brazil is soccer, right? It will never be MMA. But nonetheless, other topics and subjects that I wanted to talk to you about. Mayr Adams presses charges on Dagestani fighters involved in a brawl during a UFC 320 event following Team Khabib and Conor McGregor's own Dillion Danis, right? Because the reason why I claim that Dillion Danis is part of this whole ordeal is because, let's be honest, right? Was in beef, and you would imagine maybe that's something. Beef, and you would imagine maybe that's something that would happen also in Team McGregor. Jack, we wanted to talk Afghan shooting, right, in DC, right? We got to talk about that because obviously there's a lot of people out there that are coming up about that because obviously there's a lot of people out there that are coming up with all types of speculations going into what is what and what is going on, and we're going to get to the bottom of that, and we're really going to give you the true lowdown of that, aside from all the conspiracies that many people are sort of hinting at in this particular subject, okay? Now, it's really important to talk about this because I think there's a lot of conspiracy theories going on right now. People are saying that, hey, you know what, this is a false flag operation, and being that it's a false flag operation, maybe they are trying to do this so that they can go back to Afghanistan and take out the minerals that the Afghanis have, or whatever resources that they have that they were trying to obtain from, maybe lithium, right, which I believe is one of the top producers of the world, is that of Afghanistan with lithium. And as a result of that, well, they decided, hey, you know what, we're going to go and get back in there, not only take back our equipment, but also fight the Taliban over some minerals that may be conducive to the overall wealth of the United States. But who knows, right? But is it that, or is it just the reason that this Afghan shooter happens to be, how do I say this, a disgruntled Afghan who never got his chance to properly become a refugee in America, or at least obtain some sort of legal status after putting his life on the line for the United States. And you would imagine an act like that is bound to make somebody radical in some kind of way. Victory, shout out to Victory. He says, what's up? Let me make sure that the chat is going here, because I don't see the chats here. So I just want to make sure that, the chats are going well. All right, there we go. So we are, we're back once again. Okay, so just want to make sure that the chat is going there. Everybody, drop a chat. Let me know that the chat is going on right now, because sometimes I don't be seeing the chats. I'll go on and on and on about any particular subject and then forget that the chat is going. But I just want to make sure that the chat is going as we get this thing on popping and live, right? So, okay. Let me know if you guys can hear me clearly as well. All right. Send me some ones. Send me some anything on the chat. Just to let me know you guys are here. Because remember, you know, I'm only doing this alone, and well, you know, at least I have Marty to help me here as you know, as a moderator. But nonetheless, yeah, just assist me on that. Let me know that you guys are on and cracking. So. The other thing I wanted to talk about, there was this Netflix show called Missing You, right? Very interesting story. Obviously, it's about a British black woman who is a member of the police force, right? I believe some local police department somewhere outside of the, well, yeah, near the countryside of England, right? So her dad was also a police officer. Later, she finds out that her dad was involved in some corrupt schemes. And yeah, you know how it goes, right? You know how it goes when you hear about your dad getting involved in some things. And next thing you know, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe he was part of all of this, right? This constant self-righteous indignation, like, how could you, right? Well, what do you mean, how could he? He was a cop who was, you know, very low on their pay, right? Very limited in their pay. And as a result, here comes an opportunity by some criminals that wanted to somehow enhance his life and in turn enhance your life, right? I'm talking about the main character, the daughter of, you know, of that Netflix show, right? So kind of goes into this whole life lesson of when we talk about how we often, let's say, shun our parents for the choices that they made, right? We tend to sometimes think that, well, maybe we are a lot more self-righteous than our parents because maybe we know more than them. Perhaps we're a lot more educated than them. Perhaps we have more money than them. And as a result, we somehow have this attitude to where, you know, we're somehow better, or whatever they tell us is beneath us in some kind of way, right? But here's the thing that we got to understand from that particular Netflix show that I had remembered, right? You got to understand that people have to make choices that they have to make in order to foster a better plan or a better outcome for themselves. He says, D-Man says, yo, I hear you, Abu. Okay, awesome. Thank you, D-Man. Thank you for that clarification. So yeah, we often sometimes believe that our choices are the right way, and then sometimes we often misjudge what other people's choices are. And by the way, that leads me into the example that we talked about with, let's say, Zayn, right? Zayn got torn up by the chat, okay? In terms of like people going in on him, saying that he's not a real Muslim because of, you know, his choices that he had to make. Well, look, now I know I'm obviously his friend. I'm going to defend his choices. And at the same time, I told you guys, just like what I told him behind the scenes, is that when it comes to what you put out there, that is it. So therefore, it's not that you're being fake, or it's not that you're being disingenuous, but sometimes you got to go out there and play the role a little bit. Okay, like for example, there are things that I will never show you that I do behind closed doors, and that's for my own reason, that's for my own safety, and quite frankly, that's also just for my own sense of anti-cancellation, because you know how it is. The minute you say something that somebody else doesn't like, they will take that, misconstrue it, and next thing you know, you're out of a job, depending on where that job is, or depending on how lenient or lack of leniency that job has when it comes to, let's say, it's just for we welcome everybody here, regardless of your creed, regardless of your religion. But obviously, full warning and full disclosure, I am a practicing Muslim. I'm proud of it. but I also don't shun others for being proud of what religion they have. And in fact, I often emphasize here and talk about how the Abrahamic religious faiths, such as Islam, such as Judaism, such as Christianity, have a lot in common in ways that, well, you know, we sometimes tend to forget, right? Like, for example, when many people talk about how Jesus prays, right? And you can look this up he's not praying to himself. He is not God himself. He is a mere man, prophet of a man, also a man that is destined to come back in the end times in order to set forth. All right, sorry about that. Just wanted to, you know, just make sure that we are back right here. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so what else? What else? Okay, so Tom Aspinall. Let's go back to Tom Aspinall for a second, because remember, we're jumping around in all of these subjects. We're not really, you know, giving long monologues for one particular subject, just going back and forth as much as we can, okay? So, okay, going back to Tom Aspinall. All right. There is a good chance that he could get stripped. I told you guys this, right? Very good chance that he's going to get stripped. And, well, look, this injury that they are talking about right now, it's quite serious, right? We're talking really serious, where a part of his vision is being affected in some kind of way. All right, and you got to think, with your vision being affected in this kind of way, you know, one has to wonder, I mean, look, is this, you know, is this even worth it? You know, is this even worth it for me to come back and defend my title? Let alone not only defend his title, but is it worth his health, right? Is it worth his health overall? So are we even really going to see the possible ending of Tom Aspinall? Because look, man, it's one thing when you get your eyes poked, all right, and then all of a sudden you're Waldo Costa, and then you're in 2 fights later. Now you're fighting again back to back, okay? But what if you can't come back, and what if, you know, the injuries are so pronounced that it's going to be very difficult for you to do anything? I mean, that is one thing that we really have to take in high consideration here with Tom Aspinall. Are we even going to see him come back? Right? Is there a chance that Tom Aspinall comes back? And my answer, my unfortunate answer to that is, I have a good feeling that Tom Aspinall is not going to come back. He's not going to come back. You know who else is not going to come back? John Chancho. Okay? John Pork. He ain't coming back to NYC. He's not coming back. Because Mayr Adams is already talking about trying to lock him up. And they're like, nah, we're not going to, no way. They're going to run away, man. They're going to run away. They're going to get up out of there. And when they get up out of there, guess what? You'll never see a Dagestani fighter fight out of New York again, at least not within the camp of Islam Makhachev and Chancho and Khabib. They're never going to fight in NYC again. At the same time, New York Mayor Eric Adams may not have a real legit case in his hand. That would all be entirely dependent upon if, let's say, people in the crowd were willing to press charges. So far, I have not seen that yet. There hasn't been any indication that someone out there is trying to, you know, is trying to press any charges. There's no indication of anybody really trying to, let's say, what do you call it? Civil charges, nothing like that, right? There's no civil cases or anything like that. Nothing of that sort. So I don't know, man. It doesn't really it doesn't really look like a sure thing. But then again, you never know, man, because New York, bro, let me tell you about New York. The one thing I can't stand about New York, they are the quintessential Karens of the whole entire state of the union. I swear to you, they are like Karens to the max. And yeah, if you've been to New York, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, man. You know exactly what I'm talking about if you've been to New York. The New York State Athletic Commission is a bitch in and of itself, right? I mean, you want to talk about Karens. They were not going to let Khabib fight Anthony Pettis because at the time, Anthony Pettis was quote-unquote not ranked high enough for him to fight. I mean, how crazy of a ridiculousness is that, right? He's not ranked enough to fight, and then obviously they took Max Holloway off the card of UFC 223 with Khabib, and they were like, nah, look, Holloway, he's got brain injuries, we can't let him in there. And it's like, Max Holloway is cleared in most states, so I don't understand that. Excited Solar System, shout out to you, my man. He says, all are washed clean by the blood of Christ. No longer is there a Jew nor okay. Oh wow. Okay. God's people. Okay. Well, shout out to you for that comment. Excited Solar. Let me know what part of the world you are from, and yeah, please care to elaborate more on your religious beliefs if you wish to. But all right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, give me a little bit of some context behind that. What made you say that, right? You know, it's really funny, right? Sometimes, like, Christian evangelical types will just come in a chat and literally just spat off, you know, Christian, you know, rhetoric with no context behind it. Like, okay, I get it if, let's say, I ask you for your passage on a certain Bible verse or this and that, right? Or if we were talking about a specific subject. But you just, I mean, you and like many other Christian evangelicals, they just come in there and they just basically, you know, say this, that, and the other without really any context behind it, other than, of course, to just raise awareness to the Bible verse, right? But no particular lesson or any part of like context that shows like, okay, this is the reason why we are talking about this. He says, Germany was a Christian nation. We are from California. Okay, so you're a fellow Californian. Myself, shout out to you. He says, Alex asked if this was a Jewish podcast. I answered the question. Okay, well, there you go, right? Yeah, he was adamant in really finding out if this is a Jewish podcast or not. I don't know what indicated that. I mean, my last name looks as Muslim as it can be. So I don't know what would make him say that. Maybe he means that it's like a Jewish, you know, funded podcast. That's the only thing that I could think of as to what would motivate him to say something like that. But on any regard, man, shout outs to you. Shout out to everybody around the world that is tapping in to this one. So, all right, let's see what else is the subject matter at hand that we are talking about. Okay, so all right, yeah, moving on to what we were talking about with the UK Netflix show that I was watching, right? Missing You. Obviously, it talks about a lot of people that go missing, you know, people's bank accounts being hacked, and you know, yeah, all of that, right? Like people being told to go to the ATM and take cash out. Next thing you know, they're like, you know, missing somewhere or this. I mean, it's just a wild show. But the one thing that really caught my attention was that the daughter, okay, was so angry at the fact that her dad was a corrupted police. And by the way, she's also a policewoman who followed in the footsteps of her dad, right? And so, sorry for those that are being spoiled out of this, right? I try not to spoil the story as much, just trying to give you a bit of some synopsis behind it. But she goes and tells her mom, like, hey, you know what? I'm very disappointed. Okay? She tells her mom that I'm very disappointed with my dad to be corrupt after all these years, and you said nothing. You know what the mom said? The mom said, you have no right to judge. You have no idea. In fact, the reason why you are not is because your dad and I, right? That's what the mom said. The mom said your dad and I to be that was going to live up to your standards. And I thought, wow, that is crazy. If you think about it, okay, judging by the character of this woman from the Netflix UK show Missing You, right? She looks like she's right around my age group, right? Now, why is that significant that I mentioned she's around my age group? Well, back in the days, if you were a child of the 90s, right, meaning the parents of the 80s babies, right? So if you're 40 years old, they are, you know, the parents of the 80s babies, which is us that are, you know, in our 40s or so on, right? So if you notice, everything was simple. Everybody seemed like they were on the ball. That includes the TV. It seemed like you can trust what TV says. You can trust anything that anybody says, right? But then you realize that, you know what, your parents have flaws. Your parents are not perfect. They, more importantly, okay, not to, you know, shame anyone for having, you know, horrible parents, but you know, the other side of it too was that, you know, our parents did not exactly know everything the way that we thought they did, right? So that's the reality of the situation that you have to understand, right? Is that the people that we looked up to, including our parents, and sometimes you can include sports superstars into that mix, you can understand that, you know what, they are not exactly the quintessential perfect role models to look up to. By the way, guys, real quick, I'm going to show you exclusive footage right now, okay? I am going near a boathouse right now. So this is sort of one of the things that you're going to get when you are in this live stream right here. Just a little bit of everything. And let me answer some questions here in the meantime. So let me see here. Okay. So, all right, Excited Solar says, if this is, okay, he said, I just sub crypto is the next equalizer, decentralized currency will help capitalism. Okay, NYC says, why did Aspinall get stripped? He's on the verge of getting stripped, and it is because Tom Aspinall got injured in that eye poke. So, let me give you guys a little bit of something. I am right now at a boathouse, guys, okay? These are some of the things that you will expect out of me as, you know, I show you guys around Sacramento, different parts of Sacramento that not a lot of people, you know, really know about. Sometimes this area right here, you know, can get absolutely flooded. Okay, this area can get flooded. Look at this. This used to be someone's house right here, but built like a boat. Or was this a boat and house at the same time? Wow, look at this, guys. Okay, real exclusive footage right here. Look at this. We're going to get near the water right here. Okay, we're going to get on this. Okay, this is where the boat's sort of a little shaky here. There you go, guys. The Sacramento River. Swim. Show us you're not black. Yeah, I can swim. You've seen me swim. You've seen me swim fresh, right? You've already seen me swim, my man. You know what I mean? Like I'm a very proficient swimmer. You've seen me swim at the pool, but you know, not in this Sacramento water. No way. So there it is, guys. A little bit of some exclusive footage to show you guys, you know, parts of Sacramento that no one really knows about. So Fresh says, yeah, that's right, I forgot. Yeah, there you go, man. I can swim. He says, we know he is not black. He uses proper English. No smoke alarm, beep in sight. Oh, man. Oh, man. Now, that's a pretty, I'm sorry to say, bro, that's a very racist statement on your part right there. Now, what is it with the jokes about black folks and, you know, alarms and all of that, right? What is all that about? And also proper English. Yeah, I get that too. Yeah, I very much understand that. But obviously there are black guys out there that use proper English. I mean, what about Obama, right? Well, unless, of course, you don't count Obama in that particular mix. But yeah, man. Yeah, speaking of which, man, there's non-black people out there that use, you know, the same type of slang, the same. I mean, obviously, you could say that Asians, you know, are in California, you know, are sort of in that same cultural trajectory, which, by the way, kind of goes into the topic that we're talking about earlier, right? Top Asian Boy Crip Rapper, MB Nell, I believe, has been shot, and unfortunately, along with kids that were involved, unfortunately, right? 8 years old, 9 years old, and a 14-year-old, and then a 21-year-old, right? So all these were young kids that were involved, right? And look, here's the thing, right? MB Nell, I told you guys, I'm very close with MB Nell's family, right? I know his uncle in Stockton, right? All from the same neighborhood, right? I'm very familiar with this guy and his family. Now, his uncles, okay, the guys that were my age, okay, they come from a different generation. You know, did they do the same things that MB Nell did, that they're doing right now? Also, the other guy that's part of that crew, K Bands, okay, he's, by the way, right now, he's facing murder, okay, he's facing murder right now, you know, and with gang junctions on top of it. So obviously they're throwing in, you know, the 8th Street Asian Boy Crips in Stockton as part of, you know, this gang injunction that they're trying to throw at him, right? So yeah, man, you know, it's a very serious neighborhood. It's a very notorious neighborhood, and you know, that's just the reality of that part of the world. But all the older guys are not doing that anymore, or at least not out in the open, right? But for the most part, a lot of the older guys have, you know, obtained jobs, have got into trade schools, have got into college, or have, you know, just done other things, just continued working, you know, normal jobs and this, that, and the other. And yeah, what is this? Kyrie speaks Ebonics. Do I speak Ebonics? Well, I certainly, look, I tell you what, man, if you've ever seen me hang around people, you know, of the streets and this and that, I think, I don't think I speak any differently, right? The way that I speak with you guys, I don't speak any differently with them. Well, you know, people ask, how is it that you're able to mingle with people like that? Well, you know, that's not for you to know, and that's not for me to really, you know, put it out there like that. But put it like this, right? For anybody, if you're ever doubting that anybody's in a gang or anybody that's part of a crew, I want you to put it like this, right? Shia LaBeouf is a gang member in LA. He's a Sureño. Did you guys know that? The guy who is in Transformers is a known, verified Sureño, Southsider Mexican gang member, right? He's down with a Mexican gang. Okay, well, some will say, well, how is that possible? He looks like, you know, a white boy. He looks like, you know, somebody that would hang out with Logan Paul or something like that. Yeah, all of that is true, but guess what? It is up to his homies and his friends of whether he really belongs in that part of their neighborhood or not, and that's really all there is to it. He says it's pattern recognition. It's not a black thing, but it's a culture thing. Okay, you know what? I'm always fascinated by that, right? Because look, you would think that I would be offended by something like that, right? Considering that I have, you know, friends of different, you know, persuasions. But, you know, sometimes, look, you can't deny there is a certain level of pattern recognition that goes with a certain group of people, right? You can't just deny that. However, there are some, and there are a lot of people that are exceptions to the rule. Like, for example, okay, take this one particular stereotype, right? Most white boys, I swear to you, they love to joke about gay stuff. They really do. And they would be the straightest guys in the world, and they would joke about it. Craig Jones is a great example of this. You guys know Craig Jones, right? A great example of this. This guy, I mean, let me tell you, man, this guy will literally joke about being gay. He will joke about sleeping with other men. He will joke about doing all types of lewd things with other men and not necessarily mean it, but do it all for the sake of comedy. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm really cool with any of that, to be honest with you. Okay, I don't know if I'm really down with that. I don't know if I'm, cool with it. I don't know if, I'm actually not. I don't even know why I'm telling you I don't know. The truth is, I'm not cool with any of that, but just for the sake of trying to save face and not get canceled, yeah, that's what it is. I really don't care about it, but at the same time, it's just not my thing, but they love to do it. So what other race loves to pretend that they are gay when they really are not? Because everybody else that pretends to be gay really are gay, and that's just what it really comes down to. So yeah, man. All right. So there you go. All right. So let's see. What else? What else other sites I could show you guys? Another bridge I'm going to show you right here in Sacramento, okay? So we are, let's see. We are at the Freeport Marina, Sacramento. Right here, let me show you guys the bridge. There you go, Freeport. Okay, you are now entering the California Delta. So this is what you guys are entering right now, is the California Delta. Okay, and right here, look at this, the chicken right there. Look at that, making some chicken right there, see? And it's located right here by the bridge. You see this? Right here, by this bridge. And then on the side right there, you'll see some people fishing, right? You'll see some people fishing, right down there. And then people with the boats to that side. All right, so there it is. There it is. So, Fresh says it's not racist. It's math. You know what? Okay, let's get to a real interesting topic of this, right? You say that it's not racist, it's math. All right? Now, elaborate on that. Because there are a lot of people out there that are going to view what you say as racist. Now, how do you counteract people like that? How do you counteract the notion that, let's say, you're not racist, right? Like, what makes you not racist in comparison to, actually just speaking some kind of, mathematical facts? And are these mathematical facts based on what particular sample of people are you doing that towards? Because sometimes some will say that the pattern recognition that you talk about could be just nothing more than a subject of anecdotal evidence and anecdotal experience. So I want to get your thoughts on that in particular, if you can, please. I would like to hear your thoughts on that particular subject when you say that it's math, it's not racist, when you are projecting numbers or this and that and the other. Now, here's an interesting math game that we can talk about, right? In England, okay? Because you guys know how I love to talk about England here, right? England is, one of my favorite places in the world, aside from California, where I live at, right? Okay, so in England, there's a lot of, there's a lot of discrimination that's going on with, the Muslim population, right? In particular, when they talk about grooming scandals, okay? Now, this is a fair argument. You know, if there is a group of people that are perpetuating a certain, a certain type of crime, you're going to want to look at this. You're going to want to look at the reality of this situation, right? So what is going on? What primarily is going on with England, right? Is it the Muslims that are doing most of this? And if so, the Muslims that are doing it, are they what? What population? Is it the Pakistani population? Is it the Bangladeshi population? Is it the Arab population? Is it the Iranian, Persian community? Or is it that maybe the whites are the majority of those that are in grooming gangs in England? Because let's face it, now that number alone in and of itself would not surprise me if whites were the majority of the people that were committing, let's say, grooming scandals in the UK, right? That would not surprise me one bit. Now, the reason why that would not surprise me is because, well, what is the popular ethnic group in the UK? It's whites. It's still a 70% white country, which, by the way, it really appalls me and surprises me when I hear these Britain first white nationalists complain about, well, you know what, Britain is becoming less white now, or this and that, we're being taken over. Well, how so when 74% of that country is represented as white? He says, because it's not hating the race, it's protecting yourself and your family, all of them. Okay. Fresh Melon Juice says it's effed up. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, right? So, because, look, I hear it the other way, too. They say, well, the majority of the people in England that are committing grooming gang scandals are white. Well, my only fair question is, maybe it's because the majority of the people in there are white? Right? Like, maybe that's the reason why. Like, if I'm missing something there, let me know otherwise. But I think that's a good, I think that's a good, I don't know, man. You know, I don't think that would be a good indicator, right? That that white people are more susceptible to nunce behavior than that of the other groups of people. Now, here's one thing that I will say, though, right? Look, there are cultural norms that are prevalent in other countries that are not prevalent in the Western world, and sometimes that has nothing to do with religion, nor does it have anything to do with race. Fresh Melon Juice says, who says that? Nobody. Who the F are you talking about, Kyrie? 0 people say whites are involved. Yeah, there's a lot of white people that are involved in grooming gangs in the UK, right? It's not just like look, here's the thing, right? Like, is it possible that per capita, we're not talking about the majority of people, right? So okay, there's this much population, right, within the Pakistani community, and let's say, I don't know, throw a weird number out there, 30% of them doing it, right? Okay, now there's this much population in the white population are doing it. Let's say out of the white population, maybe 10% of them are doing grooming gang scandals, right? Okay, now that 10% could still be very high because the whites are the majority. Whereas that 40%, I mean, you know, that's astronomically high considering the fact that you're sampling that from one group of people, right? And again, these are not real numbers. I'm only giving you, a made-up number to kind of give an example, right? But again, like I said, there are certain norms in certain countries that are more prevalent than that in the Western world. Now why is it that less white men in the UK are less likely? Okay, just like British Muslims, just like American Muslims who grew up in the same culture were taught that, hey, you know what? These crimes are forbidden and these crimes should be shunned on. And not only that, these crimes should be looked at to the highest degree of disgust. So, yeah, you know, just something to think about, guys. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm 100% correct. I'm not saying that I'm 100% wrong. I'm not saying that you're 100% wrong or I'm 100% wrong. I'm just merely speculating, right? So I don't know. Like, I'm not Tommy Robinson that's going to come up here and say, yeah, it's all the Pakistanis that are doing it. I'm not the opposition of whoever that saying, well, in the reality that, hey, you know what? This could go one way or the other. This could go one way or the other. And all of not really get, well, listen, unfortunately, look, most people certain racial. So yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, Fresh, people are, you know, all there is to it. Speaking of, yup, welcome to white America, guys. Rural white America in California. Right? See, they got the, you know, Christmas decorations going. Operating on dirt road right now. So yeah, I wanted to let you guys know why I usually do these shows like at a, you know, combat radio mode, right? Meaning that, you know, we're not really doing this on video, we're sort of doing this in audio mode, right? The reason for that is because, well, you know what, I kind of wanted to present something a little bit different, and also if I needed to get content out there, this would be an instant content that I could put out there relatively quickly, right? That's sort of, you know, the reasoning behind what I'm doing with that. So, but for now, listen, we're gonna get to the bonus portion of this live stream right now. So, you know, if you guys just check out the views that we have right now in this driving that we're doing. And then, yeah, we'll get to the bonus round in just a second, okay? Who's protecting the pedos, Fresh? Please explain to me who that is. Let me know who you mean by when you say they are protecting the pedos, and who exactly do you mean? All right, guys, back on the audio right now. So, yeah, we are about just a couple of minutes away before we head back into our bonus stream. Right now, we've basically covered all the particular topics that we wanted to talk about in this particular subject. We'll elaborate more on the subjects that we talked about. But when we come back, yeah, we will talk more about Tom Aspinall, right? Why I think that he's going to be stripped. And I made a video about it a couple of weeks ago, but, you know, it kind of fell on deaf ears with a lot of people. Hopefully that video will shed some light in the future. That's kind of what I like doing, right? I like making videos. See, look, the thing with MMA media, right? It is all about what is the news now, right? Like, for example, yesterday was the announcement, so that was big news. And then in a couple of weeks ago, these particular newses are not really that big. Sometimes I like to make MMA content where it is something that lasts for a long time, right? Like, for example, if David Benavidez was to ever fight, let's say, Canelo, well, the Canelo versus David Benavidez psychological breakdown that I did will do great numbers, even more so than what it's already doing right now if in the future they do decide to fight. Well, I knew and anticipated that at some point Tom Aspinall was going to get stripped of his title, and as a result, well, I decided to make a video about it and make that prediction, that may happen in a couple of months. But more on that, more on Tom Aspinall in a second. We will be right back in a couple of minutes. So, okay, Fresh says, Muslims and Zionists. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about all that. Like, I don't think that, the majority of Muslims support pedos or anything like that, nor would they, allow people like that to live, within their vicinity. Now, with the Zionists, I can't say much about that. I can't speak on Jewish politics. That ain't got nothing to do with me, but yeah. He says, preserve Christianity and its values. He says, look up Sudan news. Okay, we'll talk about that in just a second. I will be right back in a few seconds, okay? Stay tuned while we go on to the bonus stream. Be live for the bonus stream. Let me know if you don't my Dan news, okay, so that we can further elaborate in less than 1 minute, okay? So excuse me for just a second. All right, guys, we're back. We're back. We'll be back in 30 more seconds, okay? And then we'll get it on. We'll get this show cracking. All right, okay, so back. We're back, we're back, we're back. We're back, and we're going to talk about Tom Aspinall and the program, right? Because the UFC is the program. Now, the program, what with that type of talk, okay? Program meaning that the show goes on, it doesn't stop, it just keeps on. Guy wins, another guy moves on and advances and fights the next guy who wins, right? One guy loses, another guy drops down, fights another guy that's on his way up, and if he loses again, then he'll drop even more, and then that guy gets elevated, and as that guy gets elevated, he fights other people that are in elevated statuses. That is the reality of all rankings across all weight classes, whether that is in the heavyweight division of Tom Aspinall or all the way down to the lowest weight class of Pantoja at 125. That is the reality of the fight game. That is how it goes. Nobody is bigger than the program. Now, Tom Aspinall, I think for a certain moment of time when he was set to face Jon Jones, he was giving a high sense of confidence, a high sense of self-confidence that unfortunately may have been very unwarranted. You see, Tom Aspinall was never really tested in terms of wrestling, right? He did fight Curtis Blades, but he did have an issue with Curtis Blades, and then he ended up coming back to fight and beat Curtis Blades once again. But still, it didn't tell a lot about his wrestling and how he can deal with out-wrestling other people. Now, can he submit other people? Yes, usually there are times where he did take people down and then submit him, and then there are times where he would knock other people down and then submit him as a follow-up to that. But the reality is that Tom Aspinall has not really been tested, and this notion that he was going to beat the greatest of all time, a proven entity in Jon Jones, I think was just an absolute hype job and the classic case of what I like to say as the Great White Hope theory, right? And this is the reason why I wanted to add this into the bonus stream, because whenever we talk about the Great White Hype theory, what we often do is sort of stigmatize it with, oh, this is racist, you can't say this and that. Now, it is often that they blame minorities for, let's say, yelling and spewing, oh, you guys are racist or this and that. But in reality, there's also the other side of that equation that, I mean, really cries racism even harder. And then on top of that, even worse than that, will claim that there's no such thing as racism when there's blatant racism being displayed in front of them. All right? But that is Tom Aspinall in a nutshell. He is a great white hope. You see him as the beacon of MMA, somebody that needs to topple Jon Jones, because quite frankly, Jon Jones was nothing more than the evil black guy to many white fans out there who, by the way, many of their concerns may have been granted. Okay? The fact that Jon Jones committed the type of crimes that he did towards, certain family members, right? You know what I'm talking about. Yes, all of this is warranted, but at the same time, it can also be true that, hey, you know what? People out there want to use this as a way to ruin a black man. And this is, by the way, a very prevalent mindset and a very prevalent attitude that many, people that are of Jon Jones's tribe feel on Twitter and online. Okay? This is how many of them feel. So with that in mind, guys, you got to understand that two things can be true at the same time. I need you guys to understand this, okay? Two things can be true at the same time. What do I mean by that? Well, in the recent case of what we've been looking at with Khabib and Conor McGregor, right? This little conflict that they have going on about crypto, scams or this and that. What do people who are on Khabib's side usually say? Right? And I would say this too, but obviously I'm a little bit more fair-minded than, let's say, the rest of the Khabib fan base, right? I have a little bit more objectivity behind me. I have a little bit more of the aspect of fair game, when it comes to analyzing things, right? So two things can be true. It can be true that Conor McGregor, yes, is a scumbag, because that's what most of these Khabib fans are going to talk about, even though Conor McGregor being a scumbag has nothing to do with the potential crypto scam that Khabib has going on. But guess what? Two things can be right at the same time. Conor McGregor is a piece of you-know-what, and Khabib, for whatever reason, right, allowed the money to get to him, so he decided, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go scam people out of this, and as a result of that, not really care or not really know anything about it, not really understand the implications of what this so-called scam can do. Which, by the way, I don't necessarily believe it's a full-blown scam or anything like that. I think there's more to it than that, and I think that there are bad faith actors out there, or sometimes people that are really genuine, that really do feel Khabib scammed people, and sometimes we don't know which really decipher these stories or how to look at them objectively, and also while understanding that, hey, you know what? Just like what I just said earlier, two things can be right at the same time, okay? It can be true that this person is a scumbag, but it's also true that this other person is a scumbag also, and we just live in the real world of scumbags and not in the real world, not in the fake world of good guys and bad guys, okay, where the bad guys are easily identifiable by their prison outfits of those black and white t-shirts that they wore in those 1920s prison movies, right? Or it's not always that it's the good guys that are the cops that are dressed in police uniform. That's not always the case. It's a combination of those two things that can exist at the same time, and that is the real world that we live in. So guys, with that in mind, thank you for tuning in to another great live session that we did, episode 6 into this conference call podcast. Just a little something that I'm trying to experiment with, creating a new product within the product that I have going on. Check out my new videos. I will be dropping new videos during this week, just doing a live for this weekend right here. There weren't any fights this weekend, didn't really go live, but this is the compensation for it, and of course, more UFCs to come in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one, inshallah.